The stars looked different now. Captain Tae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Harmony and watched the endless darkness of space. He had been a soldier for 20 years, but today he was something else. Today, he was Earth's voice to the galaxy. "Captain, we're receiving another transmission from the Valorian escort ships," said Dr. Ji-won Park, looking up from her station. She was young, brilliant, and spoke 14 alien languages. "Today?" She looked worried. Tae-ho nodded. "Put it through." The screen flickered. The alien face that appeared was not friendly. The Valorian had dark blue skin and 4 eyes that seemed to look right through him. "Human vessel. You will follow our exact course. Do not deviate. Do not scan our worlds. Do not transmit any messages." "Understood," Tae-ho replied calmly. The screen went black. Commander Hyun-woo Lee stepped closer. He was head of security, and his hand never left his sidearm these days. "I don't like this, Captain. Those aren't diplomatic escorts. Those are warships." "I know," Tae-ho said quietly. "But we're here to make peace, not war." Ambassador Sora Choi joined them. She was older, experienced, and had negotiated treaties on Earth for decades. But this was different. This was first contact with an empire that had ruled the stars for 50,000 years. "Are the preparations complete?" she asked. "Yes, Ambassador. All 200 of our people are ready. Scientists, diplomats, cultural experts. We have gifts from every nation on Earth. Music, art, literature, everything to show them who we are." Sora smiled sadly. "Let's hope they care to know." The journey to Valtor Prime took 3 days. During that time, G1 made a discovery that chilled her blood. She found old records, hidden in the Galactic Data Network. Records the Valorians didn't think newcomers would understand. She brought them to Tae-ho in his quarters. "Captain, you need to see this." Her hands shook as she transferred the files to his screen. Tae-ho read in silence. His face grew hard. The records showed a pattern. The Valorians had met 43 other species over their long history. 37 of them no longer existed. The others served the Empire as slaves. "They exterminate species who refuse to bow," G1 whispered. "They call it pruning the garden of civilization." Tae-ho looked at the young scientist. "Does anyone else know?" "Only you, sir. Keep it that way. If the crew knows, they'll panic. We still have a chance to be different. To show them that humans are worth keeping as equals." But he didn't believe his own words. Valtor Prime was enormous. The planet had no oceans, no forests, no natural land at all. Every inch was covered in buildings that reached into the clouds. Billions of aliens lived here, all serving the Empire. The Harmony landed in a massive spaceport. Tae-ho and his team were escorted through streets filled with strange creatures. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4. Some flew. But all of them looked away when the humans passed. Their eyes held something Tae-ho recognized from his military days: fear. The Valorian palace stood at the center of the city. It was built from black stone and covered in carvings. Tae-ho realized with horror that the carvings showed conquered species kneeling before Valorian rulers. Inside, the High Council waited. 12 Valorians sat on tall thrones. In the center, elevated above the others, sat Overlord Thexron. He was massive, his blue skin covered in scars that seemed ceremonial. His 4 eyes studied the humans like insects. "Humans," his voice boomed through the chamber. "You are young. Your species discovered faster than light. Travel only 5 years ago. You have one world, one system, nothing more." Tae-ho stepped forward. Sora had coached him, but now the words felt hollow. "Overlord Thexron, honored council members, we come in peace. Earth wishes to establish friendship and trade with the Valorian Empire. We have much to offer each other." "Offer?" Thexron laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "What can a species of children offer us? We have ruled this galaxy since before your ancestors discovered fire. Ambassador Sora spoke next. We offer our perspective, new ideas, fresh thinking, our science, our art, our culture. Your culture? Another council member leaned forward. We have absorbed the cultures of hundreds of species. What makes yours special? G1 couldn't help herself. Because we chose to come here as friends, not conquerors. The chamber fell silent. Several council members made sounds that might have been laughter. Thexron stood. He was 3 meters tall. Let me make something clear. Humans. In this galaxy, there are 2 types of species. Those who rule, and those who serve. The Valorian Empire is eternal. We bring order to chaos. We guide the lesser species toward their proper place. Teho felt his heart sink. And what place is that? Beneath us. Thexron descended from his throne and walked toward the human delegation. You will return to your world. You will inform your leaders that Earth and all its people now belong to the Valorian Empire. You will pay tribute. You will provide soldiers for our armies. You will mine the asteroids in your system and deliver the resources to us. In return, we will allow you to live. Hyunwoo's hand moved to his weapon, but Teho grabbed his wrist. Not yet. Not here. And if we refuse? Teho asked, though he already knew the answer. Thexron smiled. It was the smile of a predator. Then you will join the 37 species who made the same choice. Their worlds are dust. Their names are forgotten. Only we remember them, as a warning to others. Sora stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Overlord. Surely we can negotiate. Find a middle ground. Earth is far from your core territories. We would be more valuable as trading partners than subjects. There is no negotiation, Thexron said. There is only submission or extinction. Teho looked at his team. 200 good people who had traveled across the stars hoping to make history. G1, who spoke to aliens with wonder in her voice. Hyunwoo, who would die to protect them all. Sora, who believed in the power of words. He made his choice. Then we refuse, Teho said clearly. Humanity bows to no one. The chamber erupted in noise. The council members shouted in their alien language, but Thexron simply nodded, as if he had expected this. So be it, the Overlord said. You have chosen extinction. But first, you will serve as an example. Guards, seize them all. Valorian soldiers poured into the chamber. They were armed and armored. The humans had only sidearms. As the soldiers grabbed him, Teho saw G1 desperately working her communicator. She was sending something. Data. Information. Everything she had learned about the Valorians. Stop her! Thexron roared. A soldier struck G1. She fell, but her fingers kept moving. The message sent just as they tore the device from her hands. Teho met her eyes across the chamber. She smiled through bloody lips. They'll know, she said. Earth will know everything. Thexron's face darkened with rage. It doesn't matter. Your world will burn before your message even arrives. But he was wrong. The message was already racing across the stars, carrying the last words of Earth's first envoy, and secrets that would change everything. Admiral Sungmin Bei was drinking coffee when his world ended. He stood on the bridge of the battleship Defiant, waiting at the edge of human space. His orders were simple. Wait for the envoy to return. Protect them if needed. The communication officer, Lieutenant Bo Ra Han, suddenly stood up. Her face had gone white. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission. It's encrypted with Dr. G1 Park's personal code. Sungmin set down his cup. G1 was with the envoy. She shouldn't be sending messages. Put it through. Data flooded the screens. Military positions, ship designs, weapon specifications, and a video file. Sir, there's more. It's coming through on galactic channels. The Valorians are broadcasting something. Sungmin felt ice in his stomach. Show me. The video began. It showed a public square on Valtor Prime. Thousands of aliens watched. In the center, 200 humans knelt with their hands bound. Sung-min saw Tae-ho, his old friend. They had served together for 15 years. Thexron stood before them, speaking to the crowd. Behold, the fate of those who defy the Empire. Let this be a lesson to all species who forget their place. The Valorian soldiers raised their weapons. No, Sung-min whispered. The weapons fired. All 200 humans fell. Ji-won, Hyun-woo, So-ra, Tae-ho, all of them, dead in seconds. The bridge was silent except for someone crying. Sung-min couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. He had told Tae-ho it would be fine. He had said the aliens would be reasonable. Bo-ra's voice cracked. Admiral, Earth is calling. Priority 1. The screen changed. President Da-eun Kang appeared. She was in the emergency command center. Her eyes were red. Admiral Bay, you've seen the broadcast? Yes, Madam President. His voice sounded dead even to himself. Then you know what comes next. I'm activating Protocol Omega. Total war mobilization. Every ship, every soldier, every resource. The Valorian Empire has declared war on humanity. We will answer. Sung-min thought of Tae-ho falling. What are my orders? Hold position. Our fleets are gathering. Earth United Command is taking over. General Young-soo Park will coordinate the military response. Da-eun paused. Sung-min, I knew Tae-ho too. He was my friend. But we can't let grief cloud our judgment. We need to be smart about this. Smart? Sung-min felt anger rising. They murdered our people on galactic television. They called it a lesson. I know. And we will make them regret it. But first, we prepare. The transmission ended. On Earth, the news spread like fire. Every screen showed the execution. Every channel played the broadcast. Humanity watched its first envoy die, and something changed. People poured into the streets. Not in panic, not in fear. In rage. Dr. Eun Han worked in a secret laboratory deep under the Himalayan mountains. She was a physicist. One of the best humanity had ever produced. For 3 years, she had been developing weapons based on theories too expensive to test in peacetime. Peacetime was over. General Young-soo Park arrived at her lab 6 hours after the broadcast. He was old, scarred, and had fought in every major conflict of the last 30 years. Dr. Han, I need weapons. Whatever you have. Whatever works. Eun-ji pulled up her files. We have 3 projects ready for field testing. The first is a railgun system that can punch through energy shields. The Valorians use shields similar to what we predicted. Our projectiles should pass right through. How fast can you mount them on ships? Give me a week. You have 3 days. She nodded. The second is drone technology. Swarms of small fighters controlled by AI. Thousands of them can overwhelm enemy defenses. Young-soo studied the designs. The Valorians have been fighting the same way for millennia. They won't know how to counter this. What's the third? Fusion torpedoes. Miniaturized reactors that detonate inside enemy ships. 1 torpedo can take out a vessel 10 times our size. Reezer. Production time? Already manufacturing. We've been building them for 2 years. We have 6,000 ready to deploy. Young-soo smiled grimly. You built weapons before we even met aliens? Sir, humans have been preparing for war since we learned to make fire. Why would we stop just because we reached the stars? President Da-eun addressed the world that night. Every human on Earth watched. Every human in the orbital stations and moon colonies. Every human in the asteroid mining facilities. My fellow humans, she began. Today, we witnessed an atrocity. 200 of our best and brightest were executed for refusing to surrender our freedom. The Valorian Empire thinks this will make us afraid. They think we will bow rather than fight. She paused, letting the anger build. They are wrong. They have shown us who they are. Ancient. Powerful. Cruel. Now we will show them who we are. We are humans. We are explorers. We are survivors. We are warriors, and we do not forgive. We do not forget. We do not surrender. The crowd roared. Every nation on Earth has agreed. Every government. Every military. We stand as one. The Valorian Empire has ruled for 50,000 years. That ends now. For Teho. For G1. For all of them. We go to war. The preparations moved faster than anyone thought possible. Shipyards that built cargo vessels retooled for warships. Factories that made civilian goods now produced weapons. Scientists who studied peaceful applications of technology turned their minds to destruction. Sung-min watched his fleet grow. Every day, more ships arrived. Battleships, carriers, destroyers, frigates. Earth had been building them in secret, hidden in the outer system, just in case. The just in case had arrived. By the end of the week, 3,000 ships gathered at the rally point. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Young-soo came aboard the Defiant. He found Sung-min in his quarters, staring at a photo of Tae-ho. "Old friend," Young-soo said quietly. "We served together in the Pacific Campaign," Sung-min said. "He saved my life twice. I was supposed to protect him. You couldn't have known. I should have sent more ships. Should have been there." Young-soo sat down. Tae-ho knew the risks. They all did. Ji-won sent us everything before she died. Ship positions. Weapon capabilities. Strategic weaknesses. She gave us the tools to win this war. Sung-min looked up. "Can we win?" "They've ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They've ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, fighting the same enemies with the same tactics. They're old," Sung-min. "Set in their ways. We're new. Adaptable. Angry." Young-soo stood. "I'm giving you command of the assault fleet. Take the fight to them. What are the rules of engagement?" "There are no rules. Show them what happens when you kill humans." The fleet prepared to jump. Sung-min addressed his captains from the bridge. "You all saw what happened. You all know why we're here. The Valorians think we're primitives. Children playing with toys. They're about to learn the difference between ruling for a long time and ruling well." He looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there was Valtor Prime. Somewhere out there was the empire that murdered his friend. "All ships, charge your FTL drives. We're going deep into their territory. We're hitting their military stations first. No mercy. No hesitation. They wanted to teach us a lesson. Let's teach them one, instead." The ships began to glow as their drives powered up. "For Earth," Sung-min said quietly. Then louder. "For our fallen. For humanity." Jump. 3,000 ships vanished in flashes of light, carrying Earth's rage toward an empire that had never known defeat. The Valorians had ruled for 50,000 years. They had 72 hours left. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like ghosts appearing in the night. One moment, Valorian space was quiet. The next, 3,000 human warships surrounded Nexus Station. The station was a fortress. It had protected the Valorian border for 10,000 years. Its shields could withstand the blast from a dying star. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets. 200 Valorian warships called it home. Admiral Sung-min Bae stood on the bridge of the Defiant and smiled coldly. "All ships, weapons free. Show them how humans fight." Captain Hae Jin-yoon commanded the experimental warship Retribution. It was smaller than the Valorian dreadnoughts, faster, and carried a weapon no one in the galaxy had ever seen, a railgun that fired tungsten rods at a fraction of light speed. "Target the station's shield generators," she ordered. "Fire when ready." The railgun charged. Energy hummed through the ship. Then, with a sound like thunder, it fired. The tungsten rod crossed the distance in seconds. It passed through the Valorian shield as if it wasn't there. The shield was designed to stop energy weapons and explosives. Not solid metal moving at incredible speed. The rod hit the generator. The massive structure exploded. The station's shields flickered and died. "All batteries, open fire," Sung-min commanded. 3,000 ships unleashed their weapons at once. Missiles, lasers, particle beams, fusion torpedoes. The space around Nexus Station turned white with fire. The Valorian defenders tried to respond. Their massive warships were powerful, designed to fight enemies who stood still and traded shots. But human ships didn't stand still. They moved like dancers, weaving through space, using speed and maneuverability instead of heavy armor. Lieutenant Miran Seo led a fighter squadron. Her ship was barely 10 meters long, but it carried 12 missiles and could turn on a credit coin. Dragon Squadron, deploy drones, Swarm Pattern Alpha. Each fighter released 100 small drones. Thousands of tiny machines filled the space. Each one a guided missile seeking Valorian ships. The enemy point defense systems couldn't track them all, couldn't shoot them all. The drones found their targets. Valorian cruisers erupted in flame. Colonel Jae-sung-oh commanded the special forces. While the fleet fought, his teams took transports to the station itself. They docked at airlocks and cut their way inside. The Valorians didn't expect borders. Why would they? Space battles were fought ship to ship, at long range. That was civilized. That was proper. Humans didn't care about proper. Jae-sung's team moved through the station corridors like shadows. They used tactics from Earth's ancient wars, ambushes, hit and run, guerrilla warfare. The Valorian soldiers had never seen anything like it. Set charges on the primary reactor, Jae-sung ordered. We have 10 minutes before their reinforcements arrive. His demolition expert, Corporal Sung-ho Kim, placed the explosives with practiced hands. These will do more than destroy the reactor, sir. They'll turn this entire station into a debris field. Good. Let them see what happens to their fortresses. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Nexus Station was gone. So were 160 Valorian ships. The human fleet lost 42 vessels and 3,000 crew members. Sung-min stood over the tactical display and felt nothing. He should have felt guilt about the lives lost, should have felt horror at the destruction. Instead, he felt cold satisfaction. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from the Valorian High Command, Bora said. They're demanding we surrender and requesting an explanation for our attack. Explanation? Sung-min laughed. It was a harsh sound. Tell them this is their explanation. Tell them this is what happens when you murder diplomats. Tell them we're just getting started. News of the battle spread through the galaxy in hours. Species that had lived under Valorian rule for centuries couldn't believe it. The fortress that had never fallen was destroyed. The fleet that had never lost was annihilated. On 100 worlds, in 1,000 cities, subjugated species whispered to each other. Maybe the Empire wasn't invincible. Maybe there was hope. The human fleet didn't stop. Sung-min knew the key to victory was momentum. Keep hitting them. Don't let them recover. Next target is the Orion shipyards. Young-su, transmitted from Earth. Intelligence says they're building a new fleet there. Destroy it before it launches. Haijin's ship led the assault. The shipyards were protected by an asteroid field. Massive rocks, some as large as cities, floated in a dense cloud. The Valorians thought it made the shipyards safe. Enemy fleets couldn't navigate the field without being crushed. But human ships were small, agile, built for exactly this kind of environment. All ships enter the field, Haijin ordered. Use the asteroids as cover. Make them work for every shot. The Valorians sent their dreadnoughts after them. The massive ships tried to follow but couldn't match human maneuverability. They crashed into asteroids, got stuck between rocks, became targets instead of hunters. Miran's fighters danced through the chaos. This is like flying through a city, she laughed over the comm. And I grew up in Seoul. Dragon Squadron, split formation. Hit them from 6 directions at once. The Valorian fleet tried to establish firing solutions but couldn't. The humans were too fast, too unpredictable. They appeared, fired, and vanished behind asteroids before the enemy could respond. When the battle ended, the shipyards were burning ruins. The Valorian Second Armada was destroyed. They had lost 70% of their ships. Human casualties were light. The Valorians still didn't understand how to fight an enemy who refused to stand still. Jae-sung and his teams found something during the raid. In a storage facility attached to the shipyards, they discovered records. Data files that the Valorians kept hidden. "Admiral, you need to see this," Jae-sung transmitted. Sung-min reviewed the files. His blood ran cold. The records showed 37 extinct species, complete documentation of their extermination. The Valorians kept it all, recorded it. They were proud of it. One file showed a species called the Kalesh, peaceful traders. They refused to give the Valorians their technology. The Empire bombarded their world until the oceans boiled. Another file showed the Tauran, artists and musicians. They wouldn't provide soldiers for Valorian armies. The Empire released a plague that killed every last one of them. 37 species, billions of individuals. All dead because they said no. "Send these files to Earth," Sung-min said quietly, "and broadcast them on every galactic channel. Let everyone see what the Empire really is." The broadcasts changed everything. Species that had served the Valorians out of fear now served them with hatred. Rebellions started on a dozen worlds. The Empire's carefully maintained control began to crack. On Valtor Prime, Overlord Thexron watched the reports with growing fury. His High Council gathered around him. "The humans must be stopped," one council member said. "They're destroying everything we've built." "They're primitives," another shouted. "How are they defeating our fleets?" Thexron silenced them with a gesture. "They fight like animals. No honor, no discipline. They use tricks and deception. Then how do we stop them?" The Overlord stood. He walked to a sealed vault and placed his hand on the lock. The vault opened, revealing ancient technology. A weapon the Valorians had built millennia ago and promised never to use. "We activate the planet killer," Thexron said. The council gasped. Even they feared this weapon. "That weapon is forbidden," a council member protested. "We swore to the galactic community we would never use it again. The humans have left us no choice. We will destroy their homeworld. When Earth is ash, their fleet will have nothing to fight for. They will surrender or die in space." "How long to charge the weapon?" 72 hours. Send a message to the human admiral. Tell him he has 3 days to surrender or his world burns." The message reached Sung-min 6 hours later. He read it 3 times. Then he called his captains. "The Valorians have a weapon that can destroy Earth. It's located at Fortress Omega in their core territory. It will be fully charged in 68 hours. The bridge was silent. Hyjin spoke first. "We can't reach Fortress Omega in 68 hours. It's too far. Too well defended." "I know," Sung-min said. "But we have to try. If we fail, Earth dies. Every human. 7 billion people. Gone." Miran's voice came through the comm. "Then we don't fail, sir," Jae-sung added. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Sung-min looked at the star charts. Fortress Omega was surrounded by the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Getting there would require going through their core systems, fighting their best ships, losing good people. But what choice did they have? "We go forward," he said. "All ships, maximum speed. We have 68 hours to save our world." The fleet turned toward the heart of the Valorian Empire. Behind them, they left burning stations and defeated fleets. Ahead of them waited the greatest challenge humanity had ever faced. The race against extinction had begun. Commander Yuna Lee hadn't slept in 30 hours. She sat in the intelligence center of the Defiant, surrounded by screens showing Valorian military codes. G1 Park's final transmission had included encrypted files. Yuna had been breaking them one by one. Now she found something that made her hands shake. "Admiral Bay, I have the location of the planet killer." Sung-min appeared at her station within seconds. "Show me." Yuna pulled up a star chart. "Fortress Omega, exactly where we thought. But there's more." G1 included the complete schematics. Shield frequencies, power systems, defensive layouts, everything. How did she get this? She must have accessed their databases during the visit. downloaded everything she could. Yuna's voice cracked. She knew they were going to kill her. She made sure her death would mean something. Sungmin studied the plans. Fortress Omega was massive. It was built into an asteroid the size of Earth's moon. 5,000 ships protected it. Orbital defense platforms surrounded it like a wall of steel. "We can't fight through that," he said quietly. "No, sir, we can't." Yuna highlighted a section of the schematic. "But we don't have to. There's a maintenance tunnel here. It's shielded differently than the main fortress. A small ship could slip through." "How small?" "One ship. Maybe two." A stealth insertion team. Sungmin called his officers. They gathered in the war room. Haijin, Miran, Jae-sung. Young Soo appeared on screen from Earth. "We need volunteers for a suicide mission," Sungmin said bluntly. "One ship, one team. Infiltrate Fortress Omega and destroy the planet killer from inside." No one spoke for a moment. Then, Jae-sung stood. "My team will do it." "You understand what this means?" Sungmin asked. "Even if you succeed, you probably won't make it out." "Sir, I've been a soldier for 20 years. I've fought in wars on 3 continents. I've lost friends, lost family. If I have to die, I'd rather it be saving Earth than anything else." Captain Jinwoo Kwan stepped forward. Jinwoo was a pilot. Young, skilled, and completely fearless. "I'll fly them in, sir. I know stealth ships better than anyone." Sungmin looked at them. "You'll need the best team we have." "I already have them," Jae-sung said. 12 operators. All volunteers. We're ready." On Earth, Dr. Yoon Ji-han worked frantically in her laboratory. President Da-un had given her an impossible task. Develop a countermeasure to the planet killer. "How long would it take?" Da-un asked over a secure line. 96 hours minimum, Yoon-ji replied. "We'd need to build a shield generator that covers the entire planet. The energy requirements alone are staggering. We have 64 hours. Then it can't be done, Madam President." Da-un's face was grim. "Keep working anyway. If the assault team fails, the shield is our only hope." The human fleet reached the outer edge of Valorian core territory 48 hours after receiving Thexron's message. They had 20 hours left. Sungmin gathered his fleet. "We're going to do something stupid. We're going to attack the strongest military force in the galaxy head-on. We need to draw their attention while the infiltration team reaches the fortress." Haejin checked her weapons systems. "How long do we need to hold them?" 6 hours, maybe 8. Against 5,000 ships? Yes. She laughed. It was a sound without humor. "Well, at least we'll go out fighting." The fleet jumped into the Fortress Omega system. Alarms blared immediately on every Valorian ship. The enemy couldn't believe what they were seeing. 3,000 human vessels, attacking their most secure installation. "All ships, engage," Sungmin ordered. The space battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships moved in patterns that seemed random, but weren't. They used the fortress's own defenses against the Valorian fleet, forcing enemy ships into friendly fire zones. Miran led 200 fighters in a desperate charge against an orbital platform. "Dragon Squadron. All weapons on that shield generator. We punch through. We give the fleet an opening." The fighters swarmed like angry bees. Drones filled the space between ships. Missiles crossed paths with enemy fire. It was chaos. While the battle raged, Jinwoo's stealth ship slipped through the confusion. The vessel was black, covered in materials that absorbed sensor scans. It was invisible to most scanners, and nearly impossible to see with the naked eye. "We're approaching the maintenance tunnel," Jinwoo said calmly. Behind him, Jae-sung and his 12 operators prepared their gear. "Valorian patrol ships ahead," warned the co-pilot. "I see them." Jinwoo adjusted course, flying so close to an asteroid that pieces of rock scraped the hull. The patrol ships passed without noticing them. The tunnel entrance was small, barely large enough for their ship. Jinwoo threaded through it perfectly. Inside, they followed a route that G1's data had mapped. Every turn, every junction. She had given them a path straight to the planet killer's core. They docked inside the fortress. Jae-sung led his team into the corridors. The fortress interior was huge. Ceilings stretched 20 meters high. Corridors wide enough to drive trucks through. Everything was built for beings larger than humans. Stay together, Jae-sung whispered. Silent movement. We're ghosts. They moved through the fortress like shadows. When they encountered Valorian guards, they struck fast and quiet. No alarms, no alerts. But the fortress was massive. Every minute that passed was a minute closer to Earth's destruction. Outside, the fleet was dying. Sung Min watched his ships fall one by one. The Valorians had numbers and firepower. Humans had courage and desperation. Admiral, we've lost 40% of the fleet, Bora reported. Her voice shook. Order all remaining ships to Titan formation. We hold this position no matter what. A Valorian dreadnought broke through their lines. Its weapons tore through 3 human cruisers. Haijin saw it coming toward her ship. All power to forward shields. Railgun. Target their bridge. The Retribution fired. The tungsten rod punched through the dreadnought's armor. The enemy ship exploded. But there were always more. Always another wave. Jae-sung's team reached the planet killer's control center. The chamber was enormous, filled with technology that humans couldn't begin to understand. At the center stood the weapon's power core. It glowed with terrible energy. Sung-ho, can you shut it down? Jae-sung asked. The demolition expert studied the core. No. But I can make it explode. It'll take out the whole fortress. How long? Give me 10 minutes to set the charges. Alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. They know we're here, Jae-sung said. Defensive positions. Hold them off. Valorian soldiers poured into the chamber. Hundreds of them. The 12 human operators opened fire. The fight was desperate. The humans had better tactics. But the Valorians had numbers. One by one, Jae-sung's team fell. Each one bought Sung-ho precious seconds. 5 minutes. Sung-ho shouted over the gunfire. Jae-sung took a hit to his shoulder. He kept firing. Another operator went down. Then another. The doors exploded inward. Overlord Thexron himself entered the chamber. The massive alien held a weapon that looked like it could tear through steel. Humans, he growled. You think you can destroy what we built over millennia? Jae-sung stood, blood running down his armor. We already did. Look outside. Your empire is burning. Thexron fired. The blast hit Jae-sung in the chest and threw him across the chamber. He hit the floor hard and couldn't get up. 30 seconds, Sung-ho called out. He was the last one standing besides Jae-sung. Thexron turned toward the demolition expert. Stop what you're doing or die. Sung-ho looked at the timer. 20 seconds. He looked at Jae-sung, who could barely move. For Earth, Sung-ho said. He pressed the detonator early. The explosion tore through the planet killer's core. Energy erupted outward, consuming everything. The control chamber. The weapon. Thexron. Jae-sung. Sung-ho. All of it. The explosion spread through Fortress Omega, like fire through dry grass. The massive installation broke apart. Pieces larger than cities tumbled into space. On the Defiance Bridge, every screen went white. Sir, the fortress just exploded, Bora shouted. Sung Min watched the debris field expand. He thought of Jae-sung, of Sung-ho, of the 12 brave operators who gave everything. All ships, cease fire, he ordered quietly. They did it. They saved Earth. The Valorian fleet broke. Without their fortress, without their ultimate weapon, without their overlord, they retreated. 5,000 ships fled in all directions. The human fleet didn't pursue. They were too damaged, too tired. But they had won. On Earth, billions of people watched the news. The planet killer was destroyed. the immediate threat was over. Daun addressed the world. Today, we lost heroes. Brave men and women who gave their lives to save us all. We will never forget them. But the war isn't over. The Valorian Empire still exists. We finish what we started. Sungmin stood on the bridge and looked at the stars. The empire that had ruled for 50,000 years was wounded. Broken, but he knew wounded animals were dangerous. The hardest fighting was still to come. The Valorian Empire fractured like glass hit with a hammer. Without Thexron, without their ultimate weapon, without their fortress, the carefully maintained control collapsed. On a world called Telvos, a species called the Rendari had served the Empire for 300 years. They mined valuable minerals from their planet's core and sent them to Valorian ships. When news of Fortress Omega's destruction reached them, the miners put down their tools. No more, their leader said simply. The Valorian governor sent soldiers. The Rendari fought back, with mining equipment. Drills, explosives, heavy machinery. The soldiers retreated. Within days, similar rebellions erupted on 40 worlds. Admiral Sungmin Bei received reports from across the galaxy. Species that had been slaves were now free. But freedom came with violence. The Valorians were fighting to keep control. We need to coordinate with the rebel species, General Youngsu Park transmitted from Earth. Help them. Support them. The Empire is weakest when fighting on multiple fronts. Ambassador Donghyun Nam was Earth's new diplomatic representative. He was careful where Tae-ho had been brave. Thoughtful. Where So-ra had been hopeful. The massacre of the first Envoy had taught humanity hard lessons. Donghyun traveled to Telvos with a fleet escort. He met with the Rendari leaders. Earth offers you weapons, supplies, and tactical support, he said. In return, we ask that you join us in eliminating the Valorian threat. The Rendari leader, an elderly creature with scales like stone, looked at him carefully. Why would humans help us? What do you gain? Justice, Donghyun replied. The Valorians killed our people. They've killed yours. They've destroyed 37 entire species. This ends now. And after the Empire falls, will humans become the new overlords? Donghyun shook his head. We propose a galactic democratic assembly. Every species gets a voice. Every world gets representation. No more empires. No more slavery. The Rendari leader extended his hand. It was a gesture he had learned from watching human broadcasts. Then, we fight together. Similar conversations happened on dozens of worlds. Humanity became the center of a growing alliance. Not because humans were strongest, but because they offered something new. Equality. The war entered its final phase. Captain Hai Jin Yoon, now promoted to general, led the combined forces. Human ships fought alongside Rendari cruisers, Telvosian fighters, and vessels from 20 other species. The Valorian Empire had one last stronghold. Valtor Prime itself. The capital world, where 200 humans had been executed 3 months earlier. We're going to finish this where it started. President Daun announced to Earth. For Tae-ho. For G1. For all of them. The assault fleet was enormous. 5,000 human ships and 3,000 allied vessels. The largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Sungmin commanded from the Defiant. Beside him stood Donghyun, representing the diplomatic corps. On screens, he could see Heejin, Miran, and dozens of other officers. Remember, Sungmin said, we're not here to destroy a world. We're here to end an empire. Minimize civilian casualties. This is about justice, not revenge. But when they emerged into Valtor Prime's system, they found it was already over. The Valorian government had collapsed from within. The High Council, seeing the massive fleet approach, had surrendered. They transmitted unconditional terms. No, Sungmin said when he heard. No surrender. They get a trial. Donghyun agreed. Every member of the High Council who participated in the massacre, every official who gave orders, They all faced justice. The trials took place on Valtor Prime. In the same palace where Teho had been condemned, the Valorian leaders now stood accused. The proceedings were broadcast across the galaxy. Hundreds of species watched as evidence was presented. The records of 37 exterminated species. The orders for the execution of the human envoy. Testimony from survivors of Valorian cruelty. Dr. Yunji-han attended every day of the trials. She had lost colleagues in the massacre, friends. She watched the Valorian officials try to justify their actions. "We brought order to chaos," one claimed. "We guided lesser species. You guided them to graves," Yunji said from the audience. "You built an empire on corpses." The trials lasted for weeks. In the end, 23 Valorian officials were found guilty of crimes against sentient life. The penalty was life imprisonment, not execution. As Dong-hyun explained, "We don't kill prisoners. That's what makes us different from them." The Valorian Empire officially dissolved. Their territory was divided among the liberated species. Their military was disbanded. Their weapons were destroyed. But the question remained: what came next? The Galactic Democratic Assembly met for the first time on a neutral world. Representatives from 84 species gathered. Humans, Rendari, Telvosians, dozens of others, even some Valorians who had opposed their government's actions. President Da-yoon gave the opening address. "We stand here today not as conquerors, but as equals. Every species in this chamber has suffered, some under Valorian rule, some from other conflicts. All of us have known loss." She paused, looking at the diverse faces. "Humanity learned a terrible lesson. We came to the stars hoping for friends and found tyrants. We lost good people. People who believed in peace. Their deaths taught us that peace must be protected, that evil unopposed will spread, that sometimes the only way to stop tyranny is to fight it." Dong-hyun stood beside her. "But we also learned that strength without justice is just another form of tyranny. This assembly is our promise. No more empires, no more slavery. Every world decides its own fate." The assembly voted. The charter passed with unanimous support. For the first time in galactic history, species would govern themselves collectively. Sung-min retired from military service. He was offered the position of Supreme Commander of the Allied Defense Forces, but declined. "I'm tired of war," he told Young-soo. "Let someone else carry that burden." He returned to Earth and visited the memorial that had been built in orbit. A massive structure that listed every human who died in the war. At the top, in letters that could be seen from the planet's surface, were the names of the first envoy: Captain Tae-ho Kim, Dr. Ji-won Park, Commander Hyun-woo Lee, Ambassador So-ra Choi, and 196 others. Sung-min touched Tae-ho's name. "We did it, old friend. We won." But victory felt hollow. 3,000 human ships had left Earth. Only 1,800 returned. 50,000 crew members died in the fighting. Good people. Brave people. General Hae Jin-yoon became the new commander of Allied Defense Forces. Her first act was to establish a military academy. Not for conquest. For protection. "We teach species to defend themselves," she explained, "to work together, so that if another empire rises, we'll be ready." Students came from across the galaxy. They learned human tactics, Valorian history. The mistakes that led to war. Miran taught fighter combat. "Speed beats strength," she told her students. "Creativity beats tradition. Never fight the way your enemy expects." 10 years passed. Earth became a center of galactic culture. Ships from 100 worlds docked at orbital stations. Trade flourished. Technology advanced. Peace, carefully maintained, held. The memorial grew. New sections added names of those who died protecting that peace. Not many, but enough to remember that freedom had a price. A young alien child stood with their parent at the memorial. They looked at the names. "Who were they?" the child asked. The parent knelt down. "Those are the humans who died, so we could be free. They didn't know us, had never met us. But when they saw evil, they fought it, even though it cost them everything." Why? Because that's what good people do. They see something wrong, and they fix it. Even when it's hard. Even when it's dangerous. The child touched one of the names. I want to be like them. The parent smiled sadly. Then remember them. Remember what they fought for. And make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain. On Earth, President Da-Un stepped down after serving her term. She had led humanity through its darkest hour and its greatest triumph. Now, she was ready to rest. In her final address, she stood at the same podium where she had declared war 10 years earlier. We came to the stars as explorers. We became warriors. Now, we must become something more. Guardians. Protectors. Friends. The galaxy is vast. There may be other empires out there, other threats. But we face them together now, all of us, as equals. She looked at the camera, knowing billions watched across hundreds of worlds. To the Valorian Empire, we said no. To tyranny, we said never again. To the future, we say yes. Yes to cooperation. Yes to justice. Yes to the idea that every species, no matter how young or old, has value. That is the legacy of those who died. That is what they gave us. Let's honor it. The speech ended. The crowd cheered. But Da-Un thought of Te-Ho, standing in the Valorian palace, refusing to bow. Humanity had changed the galaxy not with superior weapons or ancient wisdom. They changed it by refusing to accept that might made right. By standing up when it would have been easier to kneel. The Valorian Empire had ruled for 50,000 years. It took humanity 6 months to destroy it. Not because humans were stronger, but because they understood something the ancient empire had forgotten. The true measure of civilization isn't how long it lasts, but how it treats those weaker than itself. In the darkness of space, new colonies spread. New species made first contact with the galactic community. Each time, they were greeted not with demands, but with friendship. And on every ship, in every station, in every school across the galaxy, the story was told. The story of 200 diplomats who died for refusing to surrender. The story of the species who avenged them. The story of how humanity taught the galaxy that even the oldest empire could fall if it forgot why civilizations exist in the first place. Not to conquer, but to protect. Not to enslave, but to liberate. The galaxy had learned its lesson. And it would never forget.